Hi, students. My name is Miss Jenna. Welcome to the next lesson, and I just want to congratulate you for reaching this far on your journey of learning how to write an argumentative essay. So, my topic today is on the power of evidence in argumentative writing. Okay, so when we want to write a compelling argumentative essay, it is not just about expressing our viewpoints. We have to back it up with evidence that is credible and trustworthy so that we'll be able to create arguments that can sway the reader or our audience on our points. So, without further ado, let's begin the lesson. All right, let's jump straight into it. So, we have now to look for and evaluate evidence. Well, when you're planning your argumentative essay, you need to put in some valuable input into your essay, right? So, you need a lot of arguments that are credible and they come from reputable sources. So, one of the tips for finding and evaluating evidence is to do a comprehensive research about your topic. So, you need to type in your topic in your search engine and explore the many types or the variety of information provided there. Now, this leads to the second point. As we are evaluating and reading those um, points and resources online, we need to practice critical thinking. Why? So that we can make ensure the accuracy, relevance, and credibility of our resources. So that means taking from websites that have a reputable standing, that you know that are not created simply by anyone, but by experts on the topic. Okay, and thirdly, we need to do an objective analysis of what we research for. So we need to maintain an impartial perspective and avoid bias, okay, when selecting evidence. So a good argument always presents two sides of a coin, right? So you don't just argue for your point, you do provide counter arguments. So therefore, we need to be objective when we argue so that we be able to present and write a balanced essay. Now, this brings us to our next step. When you are satisfied with researching, with finding the necessary resources for your argumentative essay, then you will need to take the information, you need to paraphrase it a bit, and put it into your own paper, put it into your own words. Okay, don't forget to cite whenever you take somebody's idea. Okay, so we're going to turn those resources into examples to strengthen our arguments in our essay. So, what do examples do? Or, in other words, they are called supporting details. They can be major supporting details and they could also be minor supporting details. But what is the main role? Okay, we have three here. Number one, examples illustrate ideas. So it enriches your writing, it gives more life to your writing. It explains concepts that are otherwise abstract for your reader, and it be able to make it more relatable to your reader. Secondly, it enhances clarity. So we want to have a very clear writing, smooth writing. So when we choose good examples to back up our arguments, it can help clarify complex ideas for our audience, okay? Or in other words, the reader, okay? And thirdly, we strengthen examples strengthen persuasion. So when we write argumentative essays, the language that is used is persuasive. So examples will be able to drive home the message of what we are trying to reveal to our reader. So your reader could be the lecturer who is marking your assignment, or your fellow classmates who are reviewing doing peer review for your essay. Okay, so we need to sound more persuasive, and that's why examples can help us do that. So it can add emotional resonance and persuasive power to your writing. Hi, do you have any questions so far? So we've looked at examples and tips on how to research, on why we should research our sources properly, and also the power of using examples for arguments. Okay, now let's look at using examples effectively in our argumentative essays. Okay, first of all, so as you can see here, we need to maintain relevance. So our examples should be directly related to our arguments and support our key points when writing. So it should be relevant and should be recent, at least in the last 5 years. So information should be more current and relevant to our points. And if you look at the blue box here, the darker blue, we need to ensure clarity in our writing. So present your examples in a clear, concise manner that is easy for your reader to understand. So that is when your paraphrasing skills come into play. It's good, you don't have to use too many jargons or difficult words to explain your point. All you have to do is to write it clearly for your audience to understand. Okay, if you look at the bottom right now, okay, we need to include a variety of examples. So you're not limited with the types of examples that you provide in your essay. Okay, so you can mix them up to keep the argument fresh, okay, and informative, and not just one sided. It's not just all statistics, for example. Okay, and lastly, we need to be consistent. So we have to be consistent in using examples. Um, we have to be use in enough detail and explanation in our examples, and it should be consistent from your first body paragraph to your third body paragraph, and so on. Okay, so therefore, in using examples effectively, we need to maintain relevancy, clarity, variety, and consistency when using them. Okay, so what are the types of supporting evidence, right? So, examples can be in the form of facts and statistics. Okay, numbers and data coming from reputable sources. Okay, so it's in a form of numerical information and they back up your claims. So, another type is examples and anecdotes. The examples are real world illustrations from perhaps you yourself or another person's personal testimony, which can use to be back up your arguments. And lastly is expert opinions. So expert opinions come from people who actually know the topic well, who are experts in that certain field. So they provide insights and perspectives that are authoritative and they are very credible. So, among the three types of supporting evidence presented here, which one do you think is the strongest or the most persuasive? And which one is uh, not that as strong as the others? Okay, if you guess facts and statistics and expert opinions as very strong, then you are right because these are more credible compared to examples and anecdotes. All right, so continuing from the previous slide, we have seen examples of supporting evidence. So they were facts and statistics, personal anecdotes, personal illustrations, and then we had expert opinions. Okay, may I add, you may also add historical data. So, what is the impact of using strong evidence like that in our argumentative essays? Well, it increases our credibility. When we do a very thorough research, it will lend credibility and authority to our arguments. Secondly, it makes our arguments more persuasive to the reader, and it can actually sway the readers to side on our point. And our depth, thirdly, our depth would be increased. So our writing, our essay will be more nuanced and complex, and we have more depth to it to in it. All right, everybody, are you doing well? Okay, so we're looking at now how to avoid common pitfalls when writing an argumentative essay. So writers never start a perfect draft. We always have there are always challenges. So one of the things I want to share with you is that we need to prevent uh, feelings of biasness. We need to be aware of our own biases when we write an essay. So we need to be objective when looking for resources. Secondly, we need to avoid unreliable sources, okay, as there are many predatory websites out there and websites that only have information that are questionable. So always ensure that they are credible and trustworthy by checking the website's name itself, by checking the author's name and date published. And thirdly, we need to avoid weak examples. So choose examples for your arguments that give impact and are relevant to your own arguments. And if you do all these three, then you'll be able to write a good argumentative essay. All right, dear students. Now, to write an argumentative essay, we need to present compelling arguments or persuasive arguments, in other words. So, we need to include, there are 4 points here. We need to make sure that our sources are robust and well researched. Okay, it's because they are the foundation of a strong argument. Secondly, we need to maintain relevance. So evidence needs to be directly related to our claims and support our key points. Thirdly, we need to maintain clarity. So we need to write in a clear and easy to follow manner for our readers that is also consistent. And lastly, we need to be persuasive. Persuasive in showing evidence that is strong, that is compelling, because it can sway our audience and to believe in our points. All right. And lastly, today, let's review the power of evidence in persuasion. Okay, so we've been talking about the different types of supporting details and how to use these examples to empower our argumentative essays and make compelling arguments. Okay, so the power of evidence in persuasion, first of all, it instills credibility. So, credibility, well supported arguments with strong evidence are seen as more credible and trustworthy. Okay, secondly, persuasion. So, compelling evidence can sway even the most skeptical audience and strengthen your persuasive appeal. And lastly, impact. All right. So, thoughtfully selected relevant evidence can have a lasting impact on your audience and your argument. So, what do you think of these three? So, in order to achieve credibility, persuasion, and impact, we need to use good evidence or well researched evidence in our writing. All right, this is Miss Jenna, and it has been an honor to share with you and to teach you all the types of supporting evidence and what they can do to increase the power of your arguments to be more persuasive. And I hope that you've enjoyed the lesson so far. Please review the notes and try the little quiz at the end of the lesson here. All the best on your journey on crafting successful argumentative essays, and do your best. and I wish you all the best.